Hi everyone, and welcome back. And I'm with City Manager Mike Daly. How are you doing, Mike?
Great, Tom. Happy
Good to
New
see
Year.
you. Yeah, it is a great New Year, huh?
Yeah, so far.
I'm hoping the 13th is
a lucky 13.
Is a good year.
That's right.
We could use one.
Yeah,
maybe 2 or 3 in a row.
That'd be good.
Great. All right, now coming up, you've got an agenda coming up for a meeting for
a city council meeting next Monday on the 14th, and actually right before that. A little plug for the Jackson Business Association.
Yeah.
They're having their annual membership mixer at Rosebuds at 5 o'clock next Monday.
Oh, okay.
And anybody from the community is welcome to come besides businesses. I'm a community member myself, which is only $25 to support all the activities that they do. But they're doing their general membership mixer next Monday at Rosebuds at 5 o'clock.
So what are they going to have at the mixer? Do they have food and libation?
Yeah, food and libation, absolutely, and just kind of discussion about all the annual events that they're planning to host this year and other activities. It's really evolved into a good citywide organization.
Pretty successful this year in Jackson, what they've done?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Christmas Delights was another big success. They closed the street 2 nights for the first time this year, which went over really well.
I like that, and I find whenever I'm out there, everybody loves to be able to walk down the middle of the street.
Yeah, it's a nice thing.
You know, so it's nice that you're able to do that.
Yeah. So anyway, we've got our city council meeting right after that at 7 o'clock, and nothing too thrilling on the agenda. Some are a little more interesting than others. We have our presentation of our 2011-2012 city audit, which, even though isn't one of the most exciting documents, it's very important and something we take very seriously, and are pleased to be able to present an unqualified opinion to the council for their consideration.
Okay, and those audits, they are very important, and we've had the Water Agency at Sutter Creek have some audits that have been way off.
Yeah, it's really important. In fact, the previous jurisdiction I worked for hadn't had one done in 7 years, and that, the whole time I was there, we were trying to get things back in order. It can really distract you from the day-to-day operations.
I'm sure it would. Coming up with all that stuff going back, and
we have a real good staff.
You always want to be right up to date.
Good longevity with all our accounting people and everything, and they've been doing a great job for us.
That's good. Jackson will run in that way. And would also be on the agenda.
We've got a review of one of the items that the Board of Supervisors is reviewing today, which is the proposed relinquishment of Highway 16 down in the Sacramento County Rancho Cordova area. Looking at the implications for getting to and from that area if that were to occur. That'll be on the agenda. We also have a brief presentation about...
Does that seem a little far out, or were you at the board for some of that discussion? I don't mean far out by that, but I mean long range.
It is. It's long range.
Most people would probably be concerned, well, how's it going to really...
I mean, they're talking about 2035, and which seems like a long way out, but everybody's looking at 2020 plans, and now it's just 7 years away. So, you still want to make sure that...
I think it'd just be hard to wrap your head around.
You're not closing the door on anything that in the future might come back and make it harder for people to get here.
Okay.
So
we don't want that.
We don't want that. The other item on the agenda Monday night is looking at an overview of where the current traffic improvement planning and impact fee update is right now.
Okay.
We've been working with the Amador County Transportation Commission on doing an update. There's a big workshop coming up on January 22nd at our Planning Commission meeting.
Is that the second workshop? Did you just have?
This will be the third.
One, right?
The first one was at a Planning Commission in November. We didn't really get too many people, so hopefully this will be the second workshop where we get a lot of people participating.
Okay.
It was
good.
And
the importance of that for people who want to come down?
It's good for looking at how we can move traffic around better within the city of Jackson. And this is all in the future because all the money is dependent on either growth or additional funding from Caltrans or other agencies. So, but it's we're looking at possibly doing some roundabouts on the highway, which would certainly be interesting. But other areas where
you What do you think those roundabouts might be?
Where
I'm not a great fan of them.
They've been the one area that was looked at was on Highway 88 over in front of the hospital, where Mission Boulevard comes out.
Okay.
One would be down on at Sutter Street in front of the pool and the library on Highway 4988, just as you're coming down the grade. And then the other one would be down the south end of town, down by French Bar Road. So we'll see how those, that's just part of it. The other things are additional.
I've seen a lot of interest by road crews and by the Sutter Street.
Yeah, there's always been a lot of surveying there.
Is gone, and there's it's been moved, which I think Jackson did a nice job with that.
Yeah, it looks great up at the Vista Point now, which is also looking
I'm sure
really
people
good.
notice it a lot more.
Absolutely.
I've seen people getting out of their cars and walking over to look at it.
Yeah.
And I don't remember anybody standing around and looking at it.
No, where it was.
Noticing it before.
Yeah. Anyway. So we've got that. The Operation Care has also put in an application for a 5K run they want to do on Groundhog Day, February 2nd, which is kind of a different twist where they call it a Color Madness run, where apparently at different spots on the run you get sprayed by colored flour or something, and so by the end of the race you look like you're a big yeah. So anyway,
I wonder who gets to colorize the flour.
I'm not sure.
So I don't think you can buy that in the store.
I don't know.
Mike, we're going to come back and continue on right after this break. So stay with us right here on TSPN.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.
I want to welcome back with Mike Daly, Jackson City Manager. Mike, I think we went over the agenda.
What we have slated so far. There's always a chance.
Okay, refresh my memory. Who's the mayor?
Mayor right now is Patrick Crew.
Okay.
He was reappointed in December.
I thought so, but I wasn't sure.
And Connie Gonzalez is our vice mayor again.
Because that can happen because in Jackson,
they do
some have rotation.
They do the appointment thing come December, and this year they decided to reappoint Mr. Crew.
Okay, well, Pat does a good job at that as well. And we have a few things. Everybody's got a few things that are going on that seem to be always happening. And that's wastewater issues.
Indeed.
What's happening with your wastewater?
Our wastewater is going through the environmental review process right now. We have a proposed project that would construct a new pipeline to move our discharge of the treated wastewater, which right now 100% of it goes into Jackson Creek, flows down to Lake Amador. The Department of Public Health, which regulates drinking water, and the division actually the Water Board itself is also concerned about the potential effects of the effluent being in the creek, especially during the drier months. So we've designed a project that will spray the treated wastewater on open agricultural fields during the summertime for cattle grazing and such. And that has to go through a whole environmental review process, which we've been doing for really almost 2 years now because of all the complexities involved with it. Yeah, that report will be likely on the January 28th City Council agenda. There's a few little things we need to button up to make sure we get it out to the public in time before that meeting. If not, then it'll be the next first meeting.
Is this a new process? It's not really a new process.
No, it's not a new process, but you still have all the intricacies of the specific site and the location and everything involved with where our treatment plan is, and it's just all very detailed.
Will that save Jackson some money?
Well, it potentially could, because it would reduce the amount of fines that the city gets because of the new water regulations for what you can discharge into a water body, which are different from what you can discharge on the land.
It becomes kind of a problem during the summertime months when there's not a flow.
The summertime is most critical, especially during drier years when Jackson Creek can actually dry up completely near the plant. And then our effluent is 100% of Jackson Creek from our point down to Lake Amador. And for a variety of reasons, that's been determined to be something that the Water Board doesn't want to see.
Okay.
So, but we still also have to go through, interestingly, we have to go through a water rights petition process whereby people can protest that the city's removing that water from the creek because they're using that water for other useful purposes. There could be some ranchers that might be using it, or maybe some agency comes out that thinks some certain fish might like it. Yeah, you never know.
And that usually happens at the end of the process?
That's part of the timing issue is trying to coordinate it all so you're not, it's almost catch-22, where you don't want to do one thing before the other, but you have to have the environmental information available when you're doing the water rights petition. So the environmental impact report, should be completed this month or next month, and then we'll move
Not
into
easy to get
water
all the
rights
ducks in a
petition
row.
process. Not at all. And the other major piece of it is going to be financing all of this work, which we know is going to be, expensive and a tough hit for our ratepayers.
Are there grants available?
There are minimal grants that are out there because most, and the thing is that a lot of that threshold between a grant and a loan is based on what your current rate is. And fortunately, but unfortunately, our rate is one of the lower rates in the area, which is about $29 a month. So that doesn't really kick us into the grant category, but more into a loan category.
Okay.
But we're still exploring every option we can find.
Okay, and we could go on with wastewater and maybe ARSA, but let's not. Let's go to something else. It was rates, but still something that happens daily and all the time. We're all involved with getting rid of our waste. ACES is generally the people that do that here in Amador County.
Correct.
Unless we want to, take it down to the dump ourselves.
Right, which is an option in Jackson, and one of the reasons that
I think it's an option everywhere.
Well, no, it had been mandatory service in Sutter Creek, but I think they've switched back to voluntary. But what that did is there are a lot of uncertainties related to the what's known as the Proposition 218 protest process, which was created by the voters with Prop 218. It was not necessarily clear what type of services were subject to that process because it says property-related fees. And so if garbage is a property-related fee or not was at issue because you don't necessarily need to have service from our garbage company to get rid of your garbage.
But that wasn't handled in a court of law.
Well, yes and no. I mean, the city did. The city did get sued by a local resident to implement the process, and that is still an outstanding issue.
All right.
The litigation still exists, but in the meantime, the city decided to move forward with sending out a notice that's required by the Prop 218 process, informing people of the proposed rate increases as well as some that have been approved in the past, and what their ability was to protest the increase if they wanted to. We had a public hearing in December, and we had only received 2 written protests, so the council adopted the rate increases that were requested.
Were you expecting more?
No, not necessarily. We've gone through this before with water and sewer, which it's a little bit more clear that those services are subject to the Prop 218. And
you can't go anywhere else.
Right, and we did have an initial process where we received about 50%. So the council went back, formed a rate committee, and came back with rates that were, I think, even a little higher than were proposed the first time around. And those were approved with minimal protest the second time around. So it's a lot of it's public education, making sure that everybody understands why the rates are going up, why they have to go up, and what's being funded with the money that's being raised.
But it seems like Jackson's Fund, their residents are, how would you want to put it, thoughtful enough to understand that sometimes rate increases are necessary.
If somebody comes to your door and says, sign this and your rates won't go up, it becomes a difficult issue. It's a little bit different than going into a ballot box during a regular election and having peace and quiet and just your own thoughts about how you're going to vote each way, instead of somebody at your door urging you to sign something.
I know in my younger days I would sign just about any petition and say, well, let the voters decide. But lately I say, maybe I ought to look at this and see if I even want anybody trying to decide it before I sign something. Well, it was very good of you coming by.
Yeah, sure, Tom.
Thanks for coming by.
Very good.
And stay with us. We'll have more news on the other side of the break here on TSPN.
You're watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN.